Okay, so I did the first one. I thought, let's just smash up the second one while I got the flow going. I guess what I wanted to talk... Sorry, I'm trying to get comfy. I guess what I wanted to talk about today is whatever your idea is, whatever your kind of business idea is just get it done. Just put it on paper or start talking to people about it. Start formulating it. Don't keep it in your mind. I run a company called Sponge, SPH2ONGE. I'll explain all of that later. Okay, so how it came about is I had the idea for one product. Now, if you go to the website, I've got lots of products, but it was originally just one super absorbent block sponge. And it was a case of the fact that I needed to defrost a kitchen appliance. And I thought, instead of like using paper towels, tea towels or anything like that, I thought it'd be really cool if you had something that would be super absorbent that you could just like leave there and then go. It's an old fridge freezer. So I thought about it for ages and I sat on it and I did nothing for it, in all honesty, for ages and ages and ages. And then I started listening to a podcast by Tai Lopez, who's an American kind of like business guru. He was talking and interviewing a guy called James Swanwick, who I actually followed as well, because James Swanwick created these special glasses, which are called Swannies, which I had bought a pair and loved. Also, he ran a program called the 30-Day No Alcohol Challenge, and I had also taken part in that. And this is like 5 years ago, and I still don't drink to this day. So although I don't listen to James Swanwick or Tai Lopez anymore, they both massively helped me. I was listening to this podcast, and Tai Lopez and James Swanwick were talking about how James had started his business for blue blocker glasses, which were glasses with orange lenses that he wore at night to stop the science going in melatonin or whatever going into his eyes that makes him sleep better. I bought a pair because I thought that was really interesting. And Tai Lopez was saying to James, and they were discussing about, you just take a product and you just try it. And because I'd had this idea, I thought, oh, but that's pretty cool. But I thought, well, that's not for me. I'm not going to do that. And I sat on it. In all honesty, I sat on it for probably about 3 to 6 months. And then I started kind of getting bored, I guess, at my job. In the evenings, I was just binging on like The Sopranos and Netflix. And I don't even think it was Netflix then. I think it was probably a love film. In the end, I thought, do you know what? Let me just start speaking to other people and just see if there's an idea here. So I went and spoke to the people I knew the best. And that was obviously my family. I spoke to my grandmother, who was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Obviously, she's got to say that. And my aunties and my friends, my good friends, and one of my friends in particular, we sat down for quite a long time talking about like the price and the business side of things. Obviously, I know nothing about business. I just had an idea and I just wanted to execute an idea. I had no expectations of it being anything other than, let me just see if I can create this idea. So that's kind of where this started. So I found a super absorbent material, and I took Tai Lopez's ideas and kind of his suggestions on his podcast to say, take it and try and sell it, which is exactly what I did. I started small, which is what I would always recommend now. I branded it. I had a special name, which is called Sponge, SPH2ONGE, which my partner actually thought of because I couldn't think of a name. The name is water, H2O in a sponge, so it's very simple. I had that on the material, and I had them made and sent to me. And that is how I started. I started with 1,000 sponges. They were yellow, they were badly cut, they were badly printed, they were unpackaged, they were not great, but I had them. And do you know what? I was so proud of myself, because I had actually taken for the first time ever, and anyone that kind of knows me knows that my brain is always around. Like I'm looking behind this camera, I'm looking at 5 guitars, which I love. I love looking at them, but can I play them? No. I can strum a tune, but nothing major. So I'd taken something, an idea, and I'd actually I actually had something physical that I could say, look, I'd done this. And that was a humongous achievement for me. And it didn't cost me the earth. I think I'd got a tax rebate from the government of £2,000. So I had invested the money that I didn't have generally before to do this. Now, the trick here is when I'd had these products and they were sitting in my flat, they stood there for probably 3 months and I could not give them away. And this is where the journey starts to get a little bit more interesting, because I had this idea, I got the products there, and now really you need to kind of sell these things. Otherwise you have invested money that I had invested money that I didn't have anyway, which is fine. But now I kind of wanted that money back. That, I think, is definitely where the real tips start to come in. Just to recap, if you have an idea, firstly talk to people around you, but actually a good point on here, don't listen 100% to what they say, because my family were supportive, so they were like, oh yeah, Chris, but half of that I think was purely because they thought, well, he ain't never gonna do it. My friends thought I was bonkers, so they were just like, what are you talking about? You want to sell sponges? You let properties for a living. Why do you want to sell sponges? I mean, it's the most unsexiest thing ever. Just kind of push it out there and see what the feedback is. Now, realistically, if I had listened to everybody that had said no, I wouldn't have done it. But I pushed ahead because the people closest to me, my grandmother and my auntie, said, yeah, that is a good idea. And there could be something there. That gave me the force to go and do that, which is what you need. The next step is don't go out and invest millions of pounds into this, because you need to test it first. I would always say start branding immediately. So don't just bring a candle out or a guitar or anything, whatever a water, or I'm looking around a camera, or whatever you intend to bring to the market. Don't just bring it out and say, hey, buy my candles. You have to kind of give it an identity. We will talk about identity and in the next video, but those are the 3 tips. Talk to everybody, get their feedback, but don't necessarily listen to them. Think about your mind. The second one was start small and scale. So take your idea, get your working models, and we will talk about that later as well. But certainly don't go out and spend millions and millions and millions, or thousands and thousands. Enough that you want to push yourself to make it work. Like if it's £10 and you can afford to lose £10, then you're never going to risk it. But if it's a couple of thousand like mine was, you don't want to lose that kind of money, then certainly it puts you in a kind of position where you have to work a little bit harder. And number 3, brand it. So wrap a name around something. Now this is an important part, where a video that I want to talk about later on as well, because you can get too wrapped up in the name. I did. That's part of my story as well. For 2 or 3 weeks, I didn't have a name and it became a problem. So we're going to talk about that as well. I hope you found this interesting. I hope there's at least something you can take away from there. If you did, let me know. If there's a specific bit you want me to discuss in a bit more detail, let me know that as well. And if you wouldn't mind reaching out or passing this on to anybody else you think may be interested, that would be awesome too. Right, I was less nervous this time, so that's good. I will speak to you soon.